Do you feel a chronic inability to study, read long texts, or listen to someone talk for more than 2 minutes without feeling a physical restlessness? Or do you feel an uncontrollable urge to grab your phone, even when you rationally know there's nothing urgent to see? Have you noticed that after spending an hour aimlessly scrolling through your feed, the real world around you suddenly feels gray, slow, and boring? You want to put the screen down. Your conscious mind says enough, but your finger keeps scrolling. Why have you lost control of your own hand? The answer is terrifying. Your brain has been hijacked. Social media platforms aren't just communication tools, they are behavioral engineering machines designed to exploit specific flaws in your biology. And the price you pay isn't just lost time, it's the physical structure of your mind. At this very moment, as you watch this video, chemical changes are happening inside your skull that could permanently change who you are. While science is cautious with the word irreversible thanks to neuroplasticity, the damage caused by chronic exposure to addictive algorithms leaves deep scars on how you feel pleasure, how you focus your attention, and how you regulate your emotions. We are going to explore the 3 critical changes that are reconfiguring humanity in real time. The first and most devastating is the dysfunction of the reward system, dopamine. Your brain evolved to release dopamine, the hormone of desire and motivation, when you performed vital tasks, eating, reproducing, or achieving something difficult. Social media hijacked this circuit. They operate under a mechanism called variable intermittent reward, the same one used in casino slot machines. You pull the lever, scroll the feed, and you don't know what you'll find. It could be boredom, or it could be something incredible, a viral video, a like from someone you fancy. This unpredictability generates massive artificial dopamine spikes. Your subconscious brain, addicted to this easy peak, begins to devalue real-life rewards. Reading a book, talking to a friend, or admiring a landscape requires effort and delivers slow, steady dopamine. Social media delivers fast, explosive dopamine. The result, the brain burns out its receptors to protect itself from the excess. You develop a tolerance. Real life becomes unbearably boring. You no longer watch a movie without checking your phone. You lose the biological capacity to feel pleasure in simple things. You are no longer the master of your own pleasure. You are a chemical addict to colored pixels.
The second critical impact occurs in the brain's architecture, especially if heavy use started during adolescence or young adulthood. According to studies, the human brain doesn't finish developing until around age 25. During this under-construction phase, exposure to social media isn't just a habit, it's a structural molding factor. Neuroimaging studies indicate that problematic use affects crucial regions like the prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control, and the amygdala, responsible for emotional processing. The brain becomes hypersensitive to social reward and punishment. In the real world, social approval is subtle. On social media, it's quantified. You know exactly how many people liked you. This trains the brain to become obsessed with external validation. Self-esteem stops being an internal construct and becomes a fluctuating statistical data point. This alteration in neurobiology has long-term consequences. It creates a pattern of fragmented attention. The brain adapts to the speed of 15-second videos. It loses the ability to sustain focus on deep, demanding tasks. In adulthood, this manifests as a chronic inability to study, read long texts, or listen to someone talk for more than 2 minutes without feeling physical restlessness. Furthermore, constant social comparison, seeing only the highlight reels of others, alters the perception of reality. A young brain, still learning to navigate the world, interprets these images as the normal standard. Since their own life isn't edited, they feel inadequate. This feeling of being less than isn't just a thought, it becomes a neural pathway of insecurity that can persist for decades, shaping an anxious adult who lives their life performing for an invisible audience.
The third harm, and perhaps the most insidious, is neurotransmitter imbalance. It's not just dopamine that's out of control, it's the entire chemical ecosystem of your mood. Prolonged compulsive use is associated with elevated levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. The brain interprets the flood of information, news of war, political debates, your neighbor's perfect life, as constant threats or demands. You never truly relax. Your fight or flight system stays on in the background 24/7. This depletes your reserves of serotonin and norepinephrine, which are essential for regulating mood and the feeling of well-being. The result is a statistically proven increase in cases of generalized anxiety and depression. It's not just that the internet makes you sad, it's that it alters the chemistry required to feel happy. A person feels a constant brain fog, fatigue, irritability, a lack of patience. They feel guilty for not being productive, but they have no chemical energy left to produce because they spent it all processing the feed. This state of chronic mental inflammation makes the individual more vulnerable to developing serious psychiatric disorders. The brain, exhausted, begins to see the world as a hostile and exhausting place. The joy of living is replaced by the need to just keep scrolling so you don't have to think. It is the zombification of consciousness.
Beyond the chemistry, there is deep behavioral damage, the atrophy of human connection. Excessive social media use creates the paradox of connected loneliness. We are more accessible than ever, yet we feel lonelier than any generation before us. Why? Because digital interaction is a form of empty social calories. It gives you the sensation of contact, but it provides no nourishment. The brain needs eye contact, touch, tone of voice, and physical presence to release oxytocin, the bonding hormone. A screen cannot offer that. You might have 5,000 followers, but no one to actually give you a hug. This leads to a decline in empathy. On a screen, it's easy to dehumanize others. It's easy to be cruel in the comments. We don't see the facial expression of pain when we insult someone online. The brain unlearns how to read real emotions. We become desensitized. Real life starts to seem slow and hard because it requires negotiation, patience, and presence. A person begins to prefer virtual interaction, where they have total control. They can edit, delete, or block, over real interaction, which is unpredictable. This voluntary isolation fuels depression and creates a cycle. People escape to social media because they feel lonely, and they feel lonely because they escape to social media.
Despite the grim scenario we've shown, neuroscience brings a message of radical hope. Your brain isn't set in stone, it's plastic. Neuroplasticity is the biological capacity of the nervous system to reconfigure itself, create new connections, and crucially, prune the old ones that are no longer being used. This means the damage caused by digital addiction doesn't have to be a life sentence. If you change the stimulus, the brain changes its structure. The road to recovery starts with what experts call dopaminergic recalibration, or popularly, a dopamine fast. The goal isn't to eliminate pleasure from life, but to redefine the threshold of what your brain considers interesting. You need to deliberately expose your brain to periods of low stimulation. This means enduring boredom. At the start of the detox process,
Boredom is felt physically, like pain, anxiety, or withdrawal. Your brain, used to hyperstimulation, screams for its dose of blue light. But if you can make it through this valley of discomfort without giving in to the temptation of checking your feed, something miraculous happens. Dopamine receptors that were burned out and desensitized begin to regenerate. Sensitivity returns. Suddenly, activities that seemed unbearably slow, reading a book, cooking a meal from scratch, having a long, uninterrupted conversation, or simply walking and looking at the sky, start to feel rewarding again. You discover that real life is rich in textures that a glass screen cannot transmit. You regain the capacity for deep focus. You become the master of your attention once again, instead of being a slave to the algorithm. This cleaning process requires discipline and often drastic environmental changes, like turning off notifications or leaving your phone in another room. But the prize is regaining possession of your own mind.
The goal of this analysis isn't to promote naive Luddism or to demonize technology, suggesting we should all throw our smartphones in the trash and live in the mountains. Social media platforms are extraordinary communication tools, if and only if you are in command. The cure for chemical damage isn't total abstinence, which is impossible in the modern world, but radical intentionality. You need to flip the power dynamic. Instead of being a passive consumer fed by an algorithm that profits from your anxiety, you must become an active user who utilizes the tool for a specific purpose and then turns it off. It's the difference between walking into a grocery store with a shopping list, intentionality, and walking in hungry without one, impulsivity. Setting strict schedules for use, disabling all non-essential notifications, which act as dopamine nudges, and banning screens from the bedroom are acts of mental hygiene just as important as brushing your teeth. Protect your sleep and your moments of real connection as if your life depended on it, because biologically and psychologically, the quality of your life depends exactly on that. You possess only one mind and one lifetime. It is your most valuable asset, the only tool you have to process reality, feel love, and create a future. Allowing Silicon Valley companies to rent out your mental space for pennies on the dollar in exchange for cheap entertainment and expensive anxiety is a terrible deal. Reclaiming your brain chemistry is reclaiming your ability to be human. It's tasting your food again, feeling the texture of a hug and the depth of silence. When you tame the digital beast, it serves you. It amplifies your voice, but it doesn't steal your soul.
Today, we opened the black box of digital addiction and looked at the gears inside. We saw that the damage isn't metaphorical, it's chemical, structural, and emotional. We understood the trap of intermittent dopamine, the atrophy of attention in young brains, and the fog of anxiety covering modern life. But we also saw that neuroplasticity is our ally, and that discipline can reverse the process. If this video made you put down your phone for a minute to think about your own life, if it was the reality check you needed, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. We'll keep talking about how to protect and strengthen your mind every single week. And I want to leave you with a real challenge in the comments. Can you go 1 hour today, while awake, without checking your phone even once? Try it. Feel the boredom, feel the anxiety, and then come back here and comment, "I did it." Let's see who is still the master of their own mind. Thank you for giving me your attention, the most precious asset you have. Use it wisely. Until next time.